You know, the economy is about to implode. I mean, that much is pretty sure.
We've heard of Bitcoin. We've heard of Ethereum. You familiar with XRP and the efforts of Ripple?
I didn't have any idea that Ripple was going to become the kind of thing that it has become here.
They understand that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity.
Ripple and XRP are going to be the global standard.
A single global payment network that connects literally everyone.
It's here. This year. It's here. It is here already. Yeah, I see.
It's my belief, based off of all the fundamentals that I've been seeing the past few years, is that we are well positioned and a lot further ahead than most people realize.
300 plus customers.
Using ODL for me as a customer has been a game changer.
On-demand liquidity is a feature offered within RippleNet that helps customers eliminate the need to pre-fund an account in the destination country where they're sending funds.
There's $27 trillion sitting in these bank-to-bank accounts. They're called Nostro accounts, Vostro accounts.
Bank money!
We're near an inflection point.
This may be your last hurrah here to try to get it in on precious metals and cryptocurrencies.
The real crisis is a dollar crisis. All the money the Fed is printing isn't going to have value. It's not going to buy anything. Prices are going to skyrocket. And in fact, this coronavirus is accelerating that process.
We need to go to a global virtual currency.
Cash is trash.
Cryptocurrencies such as Ripple are vying for a spot in the cashless world.
How can I say this another way, people? I've been at this for years. Load up.
XRP. Going to the moon.
At the end of the day, when the music stops, if you're holding dollars or the equivalent, treasuries, muni bonds, corporate bonds, I don't care if your money is in the bank or under your mattress, you're getting wiped out.
Once this breaks out, we're going to hit 21, 26, 51, and then it's off to the fucking races forever, folks.
The standard of the Internet of Value. Global liquidity to any market, any country, any place, anywhere. Fully exchangeable to any currency, asset, or commodity. Transactions are settled in 4 seconds. XRP is traded 24/7, 365 days a year, everywhere in the world. Removing friction from global trade, removing barriers, removing borders. XRP transfers value anytime and all the time. From you to any place on Earth.
Is the SEC the best system to do this?
I think the American public kind of gets it, that the system is not fully working for them. That's right.
Oh, yes. I believe that's true.
All right.
The apes exposed something really interesting. They crowdsourced a way of rooting out corruption. They found things in the system that didn't seem right, like the information that they were getting was 2 weeks old, that they weren't being told that these 140% shorts totaled that 140%. They knew there was a short, but they didn't get that information until later, and they didn't get the information to the extent of it. And doesn't that show that disclosure and transparency are not functioning to the protection of investors?
I'm not saying this is without its challenges. There are real challenges. There are real challenges. Complexity helps them.
Give me a better system. Give me a better system to do this than the one we have in place. Because the one we have in place is getting its butt kicked.
I believe in this system. I believe in our American democracy. You're not going to get me to say
I'm not
something
saying
other than
give
that.
me a different system than American democracy. Purely based on the financial system we have and the stock market. Is there a better system than the SEC? Is there something in this crowdsourcing that the apes brought to bear that can be useful? Can there be a partnership between the SEC and a more crowdsourced?
John, I live within the system I'm in.
Dream, man, dream.
I'll dream, but I also want to get things done. I want to get things done on behalf of the investing public.
Have you thought about, outside of the bureaucracy, is there something that could help you be more agile?
So I would say, and the compliment goes to Senator Grassley from Iowa. Senator Grassley fought hard on a decentralization point you're talking about. It's called the whistleblower law. So in the aftermath of the 2008 crisis and that big reform law, Dodd-Frank, Senator Grassley fought hard that this agency and some other agencies stood up and put in place a whistleblower program. And over the 10 or so years that this has stood up, we've given awards. That's a crowdsourcing, decentralized.
What do we need to do, and is the SEC not enough? You know, if you look at the past 10 years, right, or the past 20 years, the SEC very rarely will send something and recommend it to the DOJ for prosecution. That 2008 financial crisis.
That's not true. I mean, we bring about 700 750 enforcement cases a year, and I can give you the exact figures, but a whole chunk of those are also joint criminal investigations.
Right. You know, with all the financial shenanigans that have gone over the years, the only person we've really brought to heel is Martha Stewart. And that's got to tell you something about just how tilted this thing is.
I've forgotten a little bit about Bernie Madoff, but...
Well, speaking of Bernie Madoff, who came up with payment for order flow?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I understand, but he did serve his time in jail and everything.
One guy and one woman. Generally, it seems like people don't go to jail for financial crimes. They pay fines. I think that's a fair statement.
That's fair. But
generally,
the Department of Justice has the criminal authorities.
Understood.
We have the civil.
That's right. And on the civil side, more than 50% of the fines levied from SEC judgments are not collected. There are less financial judgments that are levied now than there were 15 years ago. It doesn't seem like the SEC has the ability to keep up. Is there anything that you would think could bring more teeth to the SEC in terms of accountability that would be more of a stick?
I think what we can do is bring important cases that are sort of high-profile cases that show people, no, you're over the line. It could be accounting fraud. It could be insider trading.
But is there something that would be more of a deterrent?
More of a deterrent is bars where individual accountability. There's nothing like individual accountability to send a deterrent across the whole market if somebody's held accountable. We only have civil law enforcement, but that means barring them from the industry or trading or appearing before us. Willing to litigate. This agency has to be willing to go into court and, you know, take some losses from time to time, but go into court.
Right.
I think all of those things, but it's trying to use high-profile cases to bring folks back on the right side of the line. And also, I would say, a focus on gatekeepers. Gatekeepers, the accountants, the lawyers, the underwriters, and so forth. That sends a signal across the market, too.
Take out the little guys.
No. The gatekeepers. The gatekeepers, John.
Coming back in a year, we're going to see how this all worked out.
Give us a little bit more time, but yeah, I got it.
Well, by then, it'll be a whole different financial market.
All right.
Really appreciate it. Fascinating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am just watching the NASDAQ. We need to show you the intraday. It just hit a session low and continues to drop down about 276 points at the very moment. We should, if we can, just show some of the laggards here so you get a sense of what is sort of really bringing this index down. We've got Okta Atlassian, Zoom, Advanced Micro Devices, and Tesla. It has been a very volatile 2 weeks for cryptocurrency as investors attempt to determine the impact the war in Ukraine and Russia could have on the asset class. Bitcoin did rise over $44,000 per coin yesterday, but you can see right now it has fallen and it is now standing at 42,000 barely. It is also in lockstep with Ethereum and Litecoin, which are also dropping. One of the biggest questions U.S. lawmakers have is how Russia and its bad actors might be using crypto to skirt around the sanctions that have now been put in place on Russian banks and Russian people. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell fielding this question on Capitol Hill this morning. Listen.
Do you see the possibility, at least, of Putin or his oligarchs using digital payments and other alternative payment methodology to avoid these sanctions?
I saw that crypto transactions are spiking in the Ukraine and in Russia. I think it really underscores the need to have a strong regulatory regime that permits appropriate activity, but that prevents inappropriate activity.
Listen, it's the same with the U.S. dollar. Appropriate activity, inappropriate activity. Joining us now on the set, CEO of leading enterprise blockchain company Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse. Yes, of course, Ripple, related to XRP. Brad would know a thing or two about this, along with Charlie Gasparino.
I know nothing. He knows everything.
I know nothing. What do you make of what Powell said? He kind of gave it to both sides.
What did he say, though? Did he say anything?
It's not entirely clear. By the way, I do want to start by just saying that I and the team at Ripple feel so strongly about standing with the people of Ukraine, and I just want to put that out there.
Sure.
But my comment as I listen to some of the things I hear out of Washington is just I fear that there's a lack of knowledge. There's a lack of information about how crypto really works. And I think it does a disservice to responsible actors like Ripple who are working with governments, with sanctions. Everything that is enforced from a sanction point of view through fiat currency, anything that Ripple does is enforced in the exact same way. And so there's no different level playing field. And I think in some ways I heard Senator Warren saying things yesterday that felt like it's holding crypto to a different standard and expecting, for example, a blanket ban of all crypto in some of these countries in a way that you can still use PayPal, you can still use these, some of these other things, and I don't think we should treat them differently.
Ripple is like Swift, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, Ripple's starting point, kind of our first use case for the technology, the blockchain technology, and the digital asset XRP was to solve that cross-border payments problem.
Right.
Swift is quite antiquated, kind of designed 50 years ago. It's slow. It's expensive. But it is a choke point that the government's used to enforce sanctions. My point is nothing that Ripple is doing circumvents any of that.
So you're following the sanctions exactly? Like, for example, it's 8 banks, but a couple can still trade through it theoretically?
Correct. The sanctions are applied through what I'll call the choke points, the on-ramps and off-ramps. That's true for Swift. That's true for Ripple. Regardless of what I'll call just the plumbing of how things are moving, the choke points are the endpoints. So I think, when I step back and look at this, I think there is a lack of knowledge. I think people need to understand that crypto isn't this kind of black box. It's kind of back from when it was known as Silk Road. The industry has come a long way.
So an oligarch, or let's just say Vladimir Putin, couldn't finance tanks through Bitcoin.
Look, one of the things that people don't realize is there's just not enough liquidity.
Yeah.
Russia used to trade pre-sanctions $50 billion of cross-border kind of transactions per day. Crypto does not have anywhere near that. So, look, in the same way that somebody could be taking wheelbarrows of rubles or the Ukrainian currency across to Poland and things there are ways you could do that, but it's really not significantly dissimilar.
Why are they so obsessed with it then? It's so weird.
I think it's a kind of clickbait. It's a hot item. I think people. It adds a relevance and excitement around some of these things, but I think people don't understand.
Well, we had spoken to Gary Ginsler of the Securities and Exchange Commission. I know you saw that interview because we were emailing afterward about it, but he specifically tried to say that he wants to very much focus on what's a security and what is an actual token, a cryptocurrency. I feel like if that's the case and he's holding you to that standard, at some point he's going to have to go after Ether as well, because Ether and Ethereum are those two very similar paths, just like XRP and Ripple, are they not?
Look, I think that's absolutely true. I don't want to comment on what they should or shouldn't do. I think as it relates to Ethereum, my view is it's very clear Ethereum's a currency. It's very clear XRP is a currency, and that the SEC. I mean, he was interviewed yesterday. Gary Ginsler was, or maybe it was even this morning, and commented that, hey, we're going to lose some cases. This is the definition of regulation by enforcement.
He was going to lose. You think he was saying he's going to lose your case?
I don't know what he was saying. I think but he did say, hey, we're going to lose some, and we're okay with that. That's the definition.
Where are you on the case? Let's get an update.
The quick update, on Monday was the last day of expert testimony, expert depositions, et cetera. And so the case continues to move forward. We're expecting some decisions from the court, sooner rather than later as it relates to a couple of decisions before the court. But look, it's moved slowly. I think Gary Ginsler has continued to kind of go with a narrative that crypto is the Wild West. It's not the Wild West. Are there bad actors? Yes, there's bad actors in all parts of...
Well, bad actors in money laundering in U.S. dollars.
I found it fascinating from reading the documents for all the stuff they said about how bad it was that you did an unregistered securities. They never say anything bad about your platform. Why is that? I mean, because there's nothing bad.
Well, the irony there is, we were in the SEC's offices. I met with Chairman Clayton. I was meeting with commissioners. No one ever once said, hey, we think XRP is a security. And they look backwards and say, now we think it's all a security. That's a hard argument.
Please come back. Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple. We are coming right back. Charlie, thanks to you as well.
What's good, YouTube? This is RPU here, and I'm back again with another video. And guys, did the SEC just admit defeat? We may be on the verge of a settlement in this case in the next 30 days, y'all. 30 days. Gary Ginsler admits that the system is not fully working for us, the people that they're supposed to be protecting. Will that change? I don't know. He says he lives within the system that he's in. Gary Ginsler is a part of the old legacy financial system, and if I was worth over $119 million, shit, I would believe in American democracy too. He's living the dream. But he claims that he wants to get things done on behalf of the investing public, and the SEC is trying to do that by rule of enforcement. The SEC can't be afraid to go to court on these high-profile cases, and Gary admits that they may even lose some of them, but they must do so in order to bring people back on the right side of the law and to bring regulatory clarity. Is this an admission of defeat? I don't know. We'll find out, but this case is starting to heat up, man. Let's talk about the latest news in the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. Follow me on Twitter at RPUReloaded so you can get my latest updates and retweets of things that I think are interesting in the crypto space. And follow Finance Feeds on Twitter at FX Finance Feeds. They're the plug for the love of fintech, trading, and finance. They only have 1,800 followers. I thought they would have more, with all the news that they bring, on this Ripple case. But let's talk about this Ripple case. This is an article from Finance Feeds. Shout out to Finance Feeds, y'all the plug. This is from March 1st, 2022. Ripple could expect settlement on XRP lawsuit in April. In April, you guys. We're already in March. 4 days in March. We could be less than 30 days from a settlement in this case. Let's go. Potentially in favor of Ripple is the fact that Judge Sarah Netburn, who has seen all the documents in camera, will be hosting the mediation. The SEC versus Ripple lawsuit has been widely followed for its precedent-setting nature. The SEC wants to make an example out of Ripple, while Ripple says it wants to not only defend its interests, but also fight in the name of the crypto ecosystem. Ripple is out here fighting for everyone in the space. Most XRP holders, however, just want the lawsuit to be over in order to see XRP relisted on the US digital asset exchanges such as Coinbase, because we know that JP Morgan said when XRP gets relisted on Coinbase, XRP is quote-unquote poised for significant adoption. Let's go. $10 XRP in April. Let's go. Yeah. Settlement is the fastest way to see an end to the case that is dragging since the 22nd of December 2020, when the SEC filed a complaint against Ripple Labs and individual defendants Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson for an unregistered securities offering. Constant delays in the lawsuit have frustrated XRP holders along the way, but chances that a deal is happening sooner rather than later are getting stronger by the day. Judge Sarah Netburn will be hosting mediation. The court's quote-unquote biggest decision in the lawsuit, according to XRP holders attorney John Deaton, is round the corner. The DPP ruling, which the SEC is currently fighting by asking for a reconsideration, is expected to be confirmed, and the notes and emails concerning Hinman's 2018 speech should be handed over to Ripple. Hand them over already. It's been 2 years already. Hand them over. The amount of evidence could be enough to corner the plaintiff and to provide leverage for an upcoming settlement between both parties. Imagine we had to go through all of this, 2 years of extensions, having to uncover all of this dirt just to get a settlement and possibly pay a fine like EOS did. That's crazy. What a waste of time. Attorney Jeremy Hogan, partner at the Hogan & Hogan law firm, has recently shared a document indicating a few rules that the SEC and Ripple will follow, including a settlement talk 14 days after the close of fact discovery. The last settlement discussion, which happened a couple of months ago, wasn't fruitful. The next most likely settlement time would be at mediation, said Hogan. Potentially in favor of Ripple is the fact that Judge Sarah Netburn, who has seen all the documents in camera, will be hosting the mediation. She knows exactly what is in the emails, etc. And if I am correct in that the SEC is the problem child here, that could make a big difference. A good mediator can really work miracles sometimes. The XRP community-friendly attorney added that his best guess is that settlement may come in April or May. See that? In April or May. So we could be potentially 30 to 60 days out from settlement in this case and relisting of XRP on Coinbase. I'm excited, man. 30 days away. Let's see what happens, man. So here's another article from Finance Feeds. This is also from March 1st. Ripple clarifies role of XRP in crypto amid Russia ban from SWIFT. Some are saying that Russia could potentially evade sanctions and get around SWIFT using crypto. Ripple's GM outlined some of the key arguments refuting this. As the tragic events in Ukraine unfold, the international community has agreed to ban Russia from SWIFT, which led many to question the role of cryptocurrencies in keeping Russia's war machine and economy afloat. Ripple's XRP comes to mind as a potential substitute, not only for its overall popularity in the crypto space, but also because it is fast and cheap to settle, unlike Bitcoin. For that reason, Ripple Chief Executive Brad Garlinghouse and the RippleNet General Manager Ashish Birla went to Twitter to clarify the role of XRP and RippleNet. Issues with tracking, liquidity, and regulation. Ripple CEO Garlinghouse said, to clear any confusion, RippleNet, while being able to do much more than just messaging a la SWIFT, abides by international law and OFAC sanctions, period, full stop. He also pointed to Ashish Birla's thread, where he lays out the reality of crypto and blockchain's role, or lack thereof, to evade global sanctions. The full transcript of Ashish Birla's Twitter thread below. In the last few days, we've seen some say that Russia could potentially evade sanctions and get around SWIFT using crypto. I outlined some of the key arguments refuting this below, and a chart. 1. Crypto is only becoming more easily trackable by software and governments. 2. There simply isn't enough global liquidity to support Russia's needs, the country's FX needs, not individuals. 3. On and off ramps are by and large regulated financial institutions that have to abide by OFAC laws. So, people like Coinbase, Binance US, these exchanges, they're going to block off their access. I mean, if Russia had Bitcoin, they'd be able to send that Bitcoin to other wallets, but when it came to sending that money to an exchange and trying to get cash, that would be impossible because Coinbase would just freeze their assets. So, the on-ramps and off-ramps are KYC AML, period. Digging into number 2. Our team looked at the data behind this. As stated by the U.S. Treasury Department, Russia conducts nearly 50 billion in FX transactions a day. As the largest crypto, Bitcoin's volume is usually between about 20 to 50 billion a day. Russia's needs would encompass BTC and more. They'd probably have to use all of BTC and probably some Ethereum too. But like I said, you can send that money across borders, but you won't be able to cash that out via an exchange. As of January 2022, you could send approximately 200K worth of Russian rubles at a time through BTC on Binance versus 3.7 million through BTC USD and 2.9 million through BTC Euro on Bitstamp. Even if you were sending approximately 200K every minute, and assuming the BTC ruble market was resilient enough to immediately replenish the liquidity, very doubtful, you're nowhere near 50 billion a day. Also, the total average daily volume over the last month for BTC ruble has just been approximately 11 million. That's not enough. They don't even have half the FX liquidity that they need, in order to use BTC to transfer 50 billion rubles a day. SWIFT is one part of the equation here. Banning some Russian banks from using SWIFT does complicate matters, but let's not forget that Ripple has had ample time to prepare, setting up direct banking relationships in Asia and elsewhere to get around correspondence. Russia and China have been dumping the dollar for a long time. They're about to start trading oil for petro yuans, and China has the AIIB banking system, and BRICS is starting to emerge, and they're having their own alternative system as well. So, Russia has had plenty of time to set up another system and get away from the dollar. But if they were to use crypto, everything would be KYC AML. So they wouldn't be able to really cash out that Bitcoin. And last but not least, this article is from a couple days ago, also from Finance Feeds, February 28, 2022. Ripple blasts SEC as quote-unquote biggest decision in XRP lawsuit looms. The SEC's protein approach to litigating this issue only underscores why the speech drafts and related communications are important and highly relevant for purposes of discovery, to which defendants are in any event entitled. You see that? Ripple is entitled to those emails, so hand them over already. Ripple and individual defendants Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson have filed a letter in opposition to the SEC's motion for partial reconsideration and clarification in regard to the court's DPP ruling. Earlier this month, the plaintiff filed the much-expected motion seeking the judge to overturn her own decision of ordering the SEC to hand over drafts, notes, and emails about Hinman's 2018 speech, which was found not to be protected by DPP because the SEC said the speech was only his personal opinion. Now, the SEC is arguing the speech was public guidance. The SEC has done a complete 360 when it comes to these Hinman emails. First, they said that it was law. Then they said that it was his personal opinion. Then they said that it was law again. I don't understand, man. The flip-flopping is crazy. SEC's protein approach underscores importance. Ripple's counsel responded by calling the SEC's motion a quote-unquote inappropriate attempt at a do-over simply because it is unhappy with the court's order on its prior briefing. The SEC makes no pretense that the demanding standard for reconsideration is satisfied here. Instead, it seeks to yet again brief an issue that has been extensively litigated for nearly a year. But this time based on a new theory in a reversal, of course. Man, we've been arguing these DPP emails for a year now. But hey, they already said, we already won the first time. The SEC is out here asking for a second opinion in the same ruling. So we're probably going to win that again. And the SEC will be compelled to turn those emails over again. And if they don't turn them over this time, man, the judge needs to start fining the SEC or lock somebody up or something. Put somebody in contempt of court, man. Lock them up for 30 days because for refusal to comply. Man. But the judge has been giving the SEC every opportunity to delay and extend or whatever. Like people said, they're trying to keep this case airtight so they don't try to come with any BS or any twists, when they come back on appeal. So, man, they need to just... I know the judge is trying to give SEC everything that they want, but this case has been pushed back so long. And the section of the discovery the discovery part of the case is over now. And so once they start ruling on these motions, either we're going to get a settlement or we're going to trial. Ignoring its prior briefing and a sworn declaration it procured from former Director of Corporation Finance William Hinman, in which the SEC maintained that Mr. Hinman's speech simply expressed the quote-unquote personal views of the speaker, a position the SEC now knows cannot support its privilege claim. Yes, the SEC now argues for the first time that the speech was the culmination of and reflected a policy process within the Division of Corporation Finance. This reversal contradicts Mr. Hinman's sworn statement. So somebody's lying over here. Somebody's lying. Why you always lying? Somebody is lying. Likewise, with neither permission nor apology, the SEC submits a brand new 5-page declaration in blatant violation of the local rules from someone who has no first-hand knowledge of the matters attested to. Wow. So the SEC is out here blowing hot air. And for all its tactics, the SEC ultimately fails to establish that this court's January 13, 2022 order was an error. The SEC cannot show that the court overlooked any factual matters before it. The court considered and credited both Mr. Hinman's sworn statements and the SEC's representations that the speech expressed Mr. Hinman's personal views. Moreover, the court already recognized that SEC staff were involved in discussions around the speech and determined that those discussions were merely peripheral to actual policy making. Additional discussion, presumably contained within the SEC's self-selected documents, does not alter the analysis. The DPP still would not attach because those communications were not an essential link in a specific consultative process. Hand them over. Hand over the emails, man. Let's go. We about to get these emails. The SEC is stalling, man. At most, given that the discussions apparently all concern what should be said in the speech itself, they were merely peripheral to actual policy formation. Finally, the SEC's protein approach to litigating this issue only underscores why the speech drafts and related communications are important and highly relevant for purposes of discovery, to which defendants are in any event entitled to those emails. Hand them over. Stop playing. Hardest hitting brief thus far in the litigation. Jeremy Hogan, partner at the Hogan & Hogan law firm, has commented on Ripple's reply to the SEC's motion. First, by expressing the well-written brief that dismantles the very contradictions made by the SEC in regard to Hemin's speech. Wow, I expected Ripple to come out swinging, and this brief did not disappoint. This is the hardest hitting brief thus far in the litigation, and rightfully so. The SEC has spun itself a tangled web here, and I don't expect the judge to help them out of it. They did it to themselves, man. They played themselves. The biggest decision in SEC versus Ripple. John Deaton, the attorney representing 65,000 XRP holders in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, after having been granted amicus curiae status, has previously explained why Judge Netburn's decision on the motion for reconsideration will be the biggest decision in the Ripple case. In regards to the brief, Deaton said, Ripple lawyers are professional and very tactful in explaining that if the court were to accept the SEC's new theory regarding the speech, that it's the division's opinion and not Hemin's, then the court must accept that Hemin lied under oath, and Hemin must go to jail for perjury. Let's go. Let's go. Which way you want it? We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Let's go. Let's go. 30 days away, man. 30 days away. The SEC has backed themselves into a corner. We could be getting settlement in April. Speaking of April, look at the Bearable Guy picture once again. For all my Bearable Guy fans out there. Let's zoom in. Look, does it not look like the sun is shining in April? Or is it shining in August? You tell me. But we could be 30 days away from a settlement in this case. I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited for the relisting of XRP. We're almost there. We're almost to the promised land. This is RPU. Let me know what you think about all this. I'll see you in the next video. Peace. XRP to the moon.
Stay battling, throwing around, juggling that, when the run, juggling that, was I get mad at it.